Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon White, and this is
Mandy Furmanek.
we are from Cap 5 Benefits, and we represent contract furnishing. What we do is we try to help with the contract furnishings leadership come up with the most attractive and competitive benefits that we can. And what we'd like to do for the next 20 to 30 minutes is review a slide deck that will help navigate through the benefits and help you determine which is best for you and possibly your family. And so this is for new hires, and we hope this is helpful and this can help you lead you to the best plan. So we're going to go through this here in the next few minutes, and we just introduced ourselves. We have a lot of experience. We've been doing this for a lifetime. It's been great, and so we're excited to share this with you. First thing I'm going to do is go through the three plans that are here for your option. The first is a base plan, and this is the plan that's paid 100% by contract furnishings. This is very generous in today's market. It's been a little rough the last few years. A lot of employers are looking to pass along premiums to employees, but yet it was decided here at CFM to pay 100% of a plan for you as the employee. There will be a cost for you to add any dependents, but you will receive that cost sheet so you know what your costs are. But in this plan, it's referred to as a HSA, health savings account. I will explain this in a minute, what this means, but it gives you the opportunity to set money aside that you can use from a bank account to pay for expenses that are not covered under this plan. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going line by line on the benefits, yet I'm going to highlight the main benefits of the plans. So first, this plan here, the thing that you need to remember and absolutely just kind of tattoo on your brain here is that in the HSA, everything is subject to the calendar year deductible. Everything. Office visits, prescriptions, hospitalizations. The only thing that is not subject to deductible is your annual preventive care exam. That is always covered 100% to you, no copay, and you're allowed one per year. And I'll go through that here in a little bit more detail. So on the HSA, your deductible is $5,000 per individual per calendar year. And we go from January to December. Even though you may be coming on at a different time, your calendar deductible runs on a calendar year. The family on the HSA is $6,850. Your out-of-pocket is $6,000 for the individual, $12,000 for family. I like to reference the out-of-pocket as the worst-case scenario. It can be called your stop loss. Once you've paid that, then you're covered 100% on all benefits. So if I'm an individual and I hit 6,000 and I've paid for that year, I'm covered 100% on all benefits. So that's the worst case. If you have a surgery, that's the most that you can pay for individual. Now, if I've hit the deductible and I haven't quite hit the out-of-pocket, there's what we call coinsurance. And that's where you would see like a percentage. If I go into the doctor and I've hit my deductible, then the insurance will cover 80%. I'm responsible for 20%. Same with inpatient hospitalization, lab and x-ray, and even prescriptions. Then if I hit that out of pocket, 6,000 as the individual, covered 100% after that. Okay, so that is the base plan. HSA, you'll see this term here, Nexus ACO. That's United Healthcare term. What that means is you do need to choose a primary care physician, and it's up to you to do that. This is a pretty good significant network to choose those providers from. If you don't end up choosing one, United Healthcare will choose one for you. The second plan, what we would call a buy-up. This is going to be a little cost to you every month. They're going to still pay for a portion of this. If you don't want an HSA and you rather have some benefit before you hit the deductible, this is the plan for you. This is a $3,000 deductible for the individual, $6,000 for family. So if you haven't hit the deductible yet, that's okay. You have some co-pays that you will pay as you go to the primary care physician. It would be a $30 copay. And then if you were to go to a specialist, it would be a $60 copay. Now, the other thing to talk about here is there's a tier 1 structure and a tier 2. United Healthcare, what they do is they contract with providers, and the ones that have provided bigger discounts for United Healthcare members, they've put it under a tier 1. So you're going to get a better coverage if you go to a tier 1 designated provider. And we're going to talk about the link that you're going to be able to go to see if your provider is in the tier 1. We highly recommend this because, as you see here, you have a higher benefit. If you go to a tier 2, you're going to be paying more than double the cost for the copay, right? So you have the flexibility of a huge network, but just know you could pay more out of pocket. Now on this plan, the out-of-pocket's actually a little bit more than the HSA. It's $6,500 for the individual and $13,000 for family. But again, once you've hit that for the calendar year, you're covered 100%, no copays, that type of thing. Then we have what we call a buy-up plan 2. This is kind of like the Cadillac plan. You don't want everything subject to deductible. You want the copays. Also, you don't want to deal with a tier 1 or tier 2. You just want the big network. You want the freedom to choose without being penalized. This is the plan for you. It's called the Choice Plus. This one here is a $3,000 individual deductible, $6,000 for family, and then the out-of-pocket $6,250, and then $12,500. And then you'll see here you have co-pays regardless of a tier 1 or tier 2. Now, this is going to be the most expensive plan, obviously, because it's allowing you the most freedom in the network. Oh, one thing I just want to mention to you, another generous thing from Contract Furnishings, paying 100% of the HSA plan, but also making a contribution to your HSA bank account. They will contribute up to $500 per year that will go directly into the account that you establish for your HSA. And so that $500, which will be given to you $125 per quarter, you can use for expenses that are subject to deductible in that plan. Great, generous benefit that may decide for you to choose that plan. Obviously, if you choose the other 2 plans, you will not be getting that HSA contribution. On the prescriptions for those plans, like I said, HSA subject to deductible. Once you've hit that, then there'll be a coverage. You'll be covered 80%. You'll be responsible for 20%. On the plan 1 buy-up, there's co-pays there. And then by plan 2, co-pays as well. It's just slightly less on tier 3. United Healthcare has a tier structure of the prescriptions. It's hard to say sometimes which is in each tier. They do have resources there to find out how your prescription will be covered under those tiers. Mail order is a good thing to remember. If you have a maintenance drug that you're taking, you can get up to a 3-month supply with United Healthcare. There is a form that you can print out and bring to your physician at the United Healthcare website. It will cost you a little bit less. There's not a huge savings there, but there is a little one. It's a bit more of a convenience for you to be able to get that 3-month supply. The other thing I highly recommend is you download, if not already, the app called GoodRx. GoodRx will allow you to save on your prescriptions, and it will tell you exactly where you can get them at a lower cost. It'll bring up in the radius of where you live which pharmacy has your prescription for the lowest cost. And it'll bring up a discount card for you in the app that you show the pharmacist. The only thing to remember, very important to remember, is that if you do use GoodRx, that will not go towards your deductible or your out of pocket because you're using a discount card and it's not being billed to the insurance. So if you do want to have your prescriptions all calculated towards your deductible and out of pocket, don't use GoodRx. But if you're looking to save money, you're on the HSA plan, then GoodRx may be a good option. And you can test it out to see which one will save you more money. So just real quick, maybe you need some time here to choose the benefits, which one's best for you. The HSA is the lowest cost. As we said, it's no cost to you if it's just the employee. If you're a low utilizer, maybe you do your preventive exam, maybe now and then a doctor's visit once or twice a year, and you like to build up a savings account, this HSA, and have it accumulate year after year, then this is the plan for you. And then on the other side of the spectrum, if you're a high utilizer and you've got some really big things coming up, a surgery, it's also the plan because the out of pocket $6,000 for the individual. You're getting HSA dollars, and so this could be the plan as well. If you're kind of in the middle as a utilizer, you've got 4 or 5 doctor visits, you've got 2 or 3 prescriptions, you've got some dependents on the plan, and you're okay with this designated network, tier 1, tier 2, and you want just a little bit of a cost up from the HSA, then buy-up plan 1 would be for you. If you don't want to hassle with the HSA and everything subject to deductible and the tier 1 and the tier 2, I want the flexibility of copay plan with a huge network, and I'm okay paying a little bit more for the premiums, then definitely the buy-up plan 2 Choice Plus is for you. So a little bit more about the HSA. Again, it's a medical plan that I just went through that's subject to deductible. This is the IRS. They require that. It's also a health savings account that you're going to be setting up with Paylocity. We'll go through that here in a little bit. And then it equals tax advantage HSA plan. So it's pre-tax on your contributions, and then contributions made by contract furnishings are tax-free. You can use those dollars to pay for expenses and no tax consequences. You own the account, not contract furnishings. If you were to leave, that money would go with you. It's a great thing to have. And also, people use this as a retirement vehicle. When they retire, you can take your HSA with you and use those for medical care expenses. So we need to determine if you're eligible for the HSA. There are some IRS requirements. The first is you cannot be enrolled in another high deductible plan. If you're on a spouse plan or parents plan, unfortunately, you can't be on 2 plans with the HSA. You would have to enroll off those plans and enroll only on this plan. If you want to have 2 plans, one through your parents or spouse, then you have to pick the buy-up plan 1 or buy-up plan 2. You cannot be claimed as a dependent on another person's tax return. So this comes up a lot with adults under the age 26. If you're still on your parents' plan, you cannot come on the HSA, or even on their tax return, I should say. If you're enrolled in Medicare, TRICARE, or an FSA. This is one that really gets people that they don't understand, is if you're on your spouse's FSA plan for this calendar year, you cannot come on the HSA plan. The IRS doesn't allow two tax-free deductible vehicles in the same year. You have to choose. So you would have to wait until next open enrollment to waive off of your spouse's FSA and then come on to this HSA plan. Couple things here. There are some limits to what you contribute. If you're under the age 55, you can go contribute up to $3,850 and up to family $7,750. If you're over 55, congratulations. You're starting to get some benefits from being old. And one of those is that you can increase your HSA contribution by $1,000. We call that the catch-up contribution. To make the maximum contribution in a calendar year, you have to be enrolled in the HSA. So if you come on mid-year and you enroll on the HSA, the good thing is you can contribute up to the full annual maximum of $3,850. If you're over 55, then of course $4,850. If you come on, let's say mid-year, and you've been on an FSA plan, unfortunately, you can come onto the plan, but you can't contribute to the HSA yet. You have to wait until the calendar year resets. If you're enrolling on the HSA for the first time and have not contributed to an FSA, then you can again do the full amount. This is just an example of some of the eligible expenses on an HSA. Anything that's not covered by the plan that's subject to the deductible, co-pays, co-insurance, and then acupuncture, chiropractic care, massage therapy. I will say massage therapy, it is highly recommended to get a physician's referral. What I have done being on an HSA is I have my physician once a year do a prescription of like 20 massages. That's all they have to do is write it on a prescription form. Keep that, because if you were audited by the IRS, you may have to show the massages were referrals. Eye care expenses, dental, tons of things, even over-the-counter items are eligible expenses under the HSA. So something you should be doing automatically, hopefully, is your preventive care exam. This encompasses quite a bit. Like I said, it's covered at 100%, no cost to you and your dependents. Immunizations, preventive exams, health screenings, cancer screenings, well women health care, well child exams, all of those covered in full. Even a preventive colonoscopy at the age 45 now, you can be covered 100%. Now, just one thing on that, a caveat is when you go into your preventive exam, make sure that's all they do, that they're not refilling prescriptions or looking at that old mole that you've had on your back for 3 years, because that's going to be changed to a diagnosis and it's no longer covered 100%. I will say that physicians have kind of honed in on this, and sometimes we'll try to make it a diagnostic visit and just let them know I'm only here for preventive. Mandy, this is where I stop talking and the fun part begins.
Okay. Virtual care. I am going to talk a little bit about virtual care because it's becoming pretty important in our world now. So UHC has a way for members to use virtual care, and it's 24/7. You can chat with a doctor. You can use that after registering at myuhc.com or with the United Healthcare app. I'll get into the myuhc.com in a little bit, but you can do a virtual visit with a doctor, and it's a really great way to find care, especially if you need something that you don't really want to wait to get an appointment. It's a $0 cost to you unless you are on the HSA plan. If you are on the HSA plan, as Brandon mentioned, everything is subject to deductible except those preventive exams. So the cost is going to be about $60 for you. Still a great option on all of the plans to use virtual care. And you can use this for allergies or headaches or throats, anything like that, where maybe you just can't wait the 3 months to get into the doctor and you need to talk to somebody, a professional. This is a great option for you. Okay, they also have with United Healthcare an employee assistance program. And this is a confidential program, which I think is pretty important. And you do have access to this program 24/7. And there's an 800 number listed here. That's where you would call. And maybe you're experiencing some high stress situations. You just need to talk to somebody. The EAP will provide coverage for 3 counseling sessions per incident per year. So this is another just great resource that UHC provides. It doesn't have to be just for maybe stress or depression or anxiety. You could also get referrals and help with any sort of financial legal resources too. So I just want to remind you that it is included in the medical plan and it's available to you. Okay, I'm going to jump into the dental benefits with United Healthcare. So this is the dental plan. It's got a deductible on there, $50 for an individual and $150 for a family. That deductible doesn't apply to the preventive services. There is an annual maximum of $2,000 per person. That's pretty generous annual maximum for the dental plan. And as you can see, you can get your exams every 2 exams every 12 months. The preventive is covered at 100%. The basic services, once you've paid your deductible for a basic service, that would be a filling, something like that. It's $0 after the deductible. And then for major services, that's the big stuff, like a root canal would be an example of that. That's covered at 50% after the deductible. So the ortho on this plan is available for children up to age 19, and it's $1,000 lifetime maximum, and that's covered at 50%. So that's the dental plan. It's a great benefit for you. And now we're going to move on to the vision, also with United Healthcare, just to make it easy for you guys. So the exams, it's a $10 copay. You can have one of those every 12 months. For materials, it's a $25 copay. And then for frames, you have $180 material copay. And that's your allowance. And that's every 24 months you could get new frames. Lenses you could do every 12 months. And then you also have contacts available to you in lieu of the frames. So that's the vision plan. That's an option for you. And it's with United Healthcare. If we look at the next slide, it's going to talk about, these are just some of the examples. There are tons of providers that are in this United Healthcare Vision Network, but this is just a list of a few that you could go to. Costco's on here, Pearl Vision is on here, Target Optical, Walmart, lots of options for you. And again, once you register at myuhc.com, you'll be able to see all the providers available for you. myuhc.com. I thought this would never happen. So this is what you're going to do once you've enrolled in the United Healthcare plans and you've received your ID card in the mail. You're going to register at myuhc.com. But there's a lot of things you can do there, and I've already talked about some of it. Finding care is one of the most important things, is you need to find who's in the network and what providers. You can do that there. You can get an estimate of the cost of care. So maybe you have a procedure coming up and you need to find out how much that's going to be. They can do estimates for coverage there. You can look at your benefit summaries there. You can view your claims in great detail. So, and then again, you also can view, print, and order ID cards. And that's pretty important because the vision and the dental are not going to send you an ID card. The dental is going to send you, if you elect the dental, you're going to receive a letter in the mail. It has a QR code. You'll download that, and that's going to be your dental ID card. And for the vision, you can access that through the app as well, but they won't be giving you a physical ID card. So just kind of want to make you aware of what's to come. This is going to talk about the registering. So again, you're going to go to myuhc.com and you're going to register now. And then you're going to be able to put in your name, your information. You're going to create a username and password for yourself. You're going to agree to all the terms and conditions. And this is also where you can go paperless from your account. So maybe you don't want to receive all the EOBs in paper in the mail. You can do that when you're registering at the account, and then everything is in electronic format for you. Okay, so the provider search. Yes, there's 3 different ways to find a provider. And as Brandon mentioned when he was covering the 3 plans, the first 2 plans is the Nexus. So maybe you haven't signed up for your benefits yet and you're thinking, how do I pick a primary care provider? I don't even know who's in the network. And so you can do that and look for find a provider at myuhc.com. Even if you're not registered, you can go in as a guest. You could also call the number on the health plan ID card. And then you can also use the mobile app to search as well. So there's different ways to find providers. And I know that you want to find providers if you're on those 2 Nexus plans of designated providers and who's in the network. That's very important to do. Again, if you don't select a PCP the first time that you're registering or enrolling in United Healthcare, that's okay. One will be assigned to you based on your zip code. But it is something that you can go in and change. So don't feel like you're locked into that. You can go to myuhc.com 3 months into being on the plan and say, hey, this is the designated provider I want to select. And you can do that and then order yourself new ID cards at that time. Okay, there's just a couple things that we have a checklist for those of you that maybe are on a different medical plan now. You're new to contract furnishings. And so now you're going to have this new health plan. And there's just maybe a few things that you want to remember to do. And so if you have something major coming up, a surgery coming up, maybe you're in the middle of a pregnancy, you would want to get a transition of care form. And we do have those stored in Employee Navigator. And also Stephanie does have that stored in your contract furnishing smart system where you can have access to all these forms. So that would be there for you. And you would want to complete that and turn that in within 30 days of electing the plan. And that way that they can make sure the continuity of your care is seamless and you don't have any major disruption in the care that you're currently getting. The other thing that's just kind of smart to do is you can request your medical records. You don't have to do that, but that is something that you can do, and then make sure that your new provider has access to all of that. Choosing the UHC network, the primary care physician that I was just referring to. If your plan requires you to choose one and you want to know who it's going to be, you can do the legwork for that by looking at the network and selecting that when you're electing benefits in Employee Navigator. And then you can also explore the network. You can download the United Healthcare app. You can actually make an appointment ahead of time, even if you don't have your ID card in hand. Now, sometimes providers want us to have that group number, but a lot of times you can make that appointment before. And then once you follow up with your appointment, you can have your ID card with you. And then check the mail, because you will receive the medical ID card in the mail, and it'll be mailed to your home, and it's in a white envelope and it's not going to be marked. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. Okay. The FSA plan. So I know Brandon talked about this a little bit already. And so if you're not currently enrolled in the HSA plan, then you can enroll in the flexible spending account. You are eligible for that. And so it's a type of savings account that lets you set aside money on a pre-tax basis to pay for qualified healthcare expenses. So again, very similar to those expenses that Brandon was describing on the HSA, you can also use your flexible spending account, or FSA, for those co-pays or prescriptions or anything that has money associated with that. You can use that flexible spending account.
Yeah, just one thing to add. They may be asking, well, what's the major difference between the two? One, you have to be enrolled in the deductible plan. All benefits are subject to deductible. And the HSA, you can accumulate your savings year to year, where in the FSA, it's a use it or lose it feature. And so that's the biggest difference between the two.
Great point. It doesn't roll over on the FSA. There's a portion that will roll over, but not the entire amount. So that is a great point. When you're electing those FSA elections, you want to make sure that you're smart about how much you're going to use in the year. Paylocity is who the accounts are through, the flexible spending account and the HSA account. So there's a way for you to check your available balances, and that's if you download the app for Paylocity and register. And so there's a lot of things that you can just do right from the Paylocity app to manage your flexible spending account or HSA account. Employee Navigator. So this is how you're going to enroll in your benefits. And so now that you've learned a little bit about everything, you will receive an email that's from Employee Navigator and you'll need to register. And then it'll let you begin and start your enrollment. And so as we discussed, there's 3 different medical options. There's dental, there's vision. You need to elect it or waive it. That is up to you, but all the options are here electronically on Employee Navigator. And when you get to the very end of electing everything, you're saving and continuing at the end of each page. If you're adding dependents, you're putting their information in. All of that information is going in this system. And then at the very end, it'll give you a summary of what you have elected. And you'll want to make sure you review that. And then you can look to see what the cost is for you to have elected all those plans. So it should be pretty seamless and simple for you. And there's also lots of resources at Employee Navigator as well. And I think that's all I have, Brandon.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mandy. And hopefully everybody found this helpful, and we wish you the best of luck. And we are going to sign off.